Hi, my name is Ganesh, and this is the demo for the remote controller I built for the Nest thermostat. The remote controller I built only has two buttons, temperature up and temperature down. It's a very simple remote controller, and I'm aware that Nest offers a mobile app to let you control the thermostat to its every little feature. But I built this remote controller to brush up my coding skills, get familiar with the Nest API, and because I really like building stuff with Raspberry Pi. So let's go ahead and get started. This is my Raspberry Pi setup. I'm using Raspberry Pi 3 and a breadboard, which only has two buttons on it, as I said, temperature up and temperature down. I wired this breadboard to the GPIO ports of the Raspberry Pi and connected it to this monitor to be able to code. And I wrote this Python script to get the inputs from the buttons and send requests and make API calls to the thermostat I created using Nest Home Simulator. It's essentially running on the cloud, so I didn't have to open it on my Mac. I could have just gone to the URL on the Raspberry Pi, but it was just more convenient. And I'll be using this thermostat to test my remote controller. Started by initializing the headers for our HTTP requests. The URL we're making the request to, the token, the authorization token we need for the requests, and the headers. Here I'm initializing the GPIO pin numbers, which are ports of the Raspberry Pi, so I can easily access them with just a variable. Here I'm setting up the input and the output. The inputs would be the buttons on the breadboard, which is up and down, and I have two outputs on the board. The green one that tells us that the Raspberry Pi has received an input from the upper button, and until the API calls go back and we get the response back, the green light will stay on. Same for the red light. When we make a request with the lower button, it will stay on until the API call goes to the server and comes back. Here's the infinite while loop that tells Raspberry Pi to keep listening to the GPIO ports for input. Whenever we press on the upper button, the button up if statement fires and we make a send request call, function call with parameter up. And whenever we press the lower button, we make a send request function call with a parameter down. The send request function takes a parameter called str, which will eventually be either up or down. The send request function starts by calling getTemp function. GetTemp makes a get request to the thermostat server to get the current temperature of the simulator, of the thermostat. And once this call comes back, since Python is running synchronously, this code will wait until the response comes back to get temp. So once we receive the current temperature, we check if the parameter passed to the send request function was up, string up, or else, which would be down. And if it's up, we add 1 to the current temperature. Similarly, if it's down, we subtract 1 from the current temperature. Once the current temperature is updated locally, we create this payload which has the key target temperature F and the value current temperature, the updated local current temperature. And then we make the put request to the server to update the current temperature of the thermometer. So let's go ahead and test the remote controller. The script is up and running. And here we have the remote controller and the thermostat running. What's expected to happen is when I press this button down, the upper button, the green light will go on, the if statement is going to fire, and the get request will go to the server to get us the current temperature, which is 74 in this case. Once the response gets back to the server, we're going to update the current temperature locally, so it's going to be 75, and then we're going to send a put request to the server to update the temperature to 75. And the green light will be on during this whole process until the temperature is updated to 75 and we get a response back from our put request. So let's go ahead and try it. The green light is on, the requests are going through, and once the green light is off, alright, this one is taking a while. It's the first one. And the green light is, it's actually taking quite a while. And it's off. And the request went through. It's a success. Let's see if it works again. Green light is on, the request went through, came back, and the temperature is updated to 76 now. Let's try lowering it by a degree. The red light is on, as you can see, and the temperature is down to 75 now. Thank you for watching my demo. I'll upload the source code and the screenshots of the Raspberry Pi setup to my GitHub, and you can look it up if you're interested. Thanks a lot for watching.